Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit bewelltexas.org.
Hello and welcome to March to the Pod, presented by Eternal Roofing. This is season 2, episode number 35. 35 here. We're getting close to the end of this second season, and the start of the new season will come right around the first part of July. So we're in our last month, a little bit plus, babe.
Last leg.
This week. Well, sports are basically over. So we get the Athlete of the Year nominees because baseball's not playing in the conference tournament. I'm not upset by that. Okay, I am. I'm your host, producer, and formerly band member from catfans.com, Cory Hogue, the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channel at Cory Hogue Sports. It's CoryHogue Sports. The knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of Sports of SHSU, again, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. He's the chief operating officer of the Cat Fund and proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. And I got to tell you, we were out last week because the Space Cowboys had a playoff game on a Wednesday night, which first, let's just say they violate church code around here. Like, what's up with that, right?
That's the one night of the week you don't have anything, right?
Wednesday and Sunday, although I usually had practice on Sunday because I don't really follow that jazz. But, I wasn't too worried about a Wednesday game. I'm just saying some people might have got their
Iowa Park, probably.
Thankfully, Iowa Park's not in the machine pitch part of the league. But I'll say this. Machine pitch is crazy, dude. It is wild. We played Wednesday night. We played a team from just across the river in Oklahoma, Grandfield. We beat them 12-6. Kids played well. The next night, we got the top seed. Now, listen, this is where it starts to get crazy. You got coaches from these teams that they're sneaky, man, and they'll go out there and, bump up the machine and mess with the height of it and this and that in between if you're not watching them and things like that. And, during the season – you don't push the action a lot of times. Like if a ball's thrown into the infield, you stop your runner at second base rather than trying to get the extra base out of it, right? To kill the play, you get the ball into the pitcher's circle at that age. We're talking first and second graders.
Yep.
And that's not easy to do. So if they throw it into second base and it overthrows, then, a lot of times regular season we hold them. But playoffs, man, no, dude. We're out for rings. That's what it's about.
Not participation trophies.
And so Friday we were playing for third place. By the way, we scored more runs against the top team than anyone had scored all season. We lost that one 9-5, and they had outscored us 17-1 in our two previous games combined. So losing 9-5 was not bad. We were ready for the Friday night, which was the third place game. And it got really interesting there again. Remind you, these are first and second graders. My last place hitter, and he's last place hitter for a reason. He maybe hit the ball 3 times all year in play. Hit the ball and made it to first base. Then he made a turn, and I don't remember which way he turned because I don't care. And he's heading back to first base. And the other team's coach, who, mind you, we had played them on Monday night also. So we played Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week. We played them on Monday night, and he was trying to throw rule books at us, which I already knew meant he was worried about playing us. This dude starts yelling at the umpire, who's like an 8th grader. He's like 14 years old, yelling at the umpire that the kid didn't turn properly. He didn't turn into foul ground to head back to first, that he turned into fairground. And I got a little perturbed about that. But I'm really pretty good about, I'm not going to get intimidated. Coaches say things. I'm gonna respond. But this one kind of irked me just a little bit.
Yeah, that would to me too.
So I'm like, dude, are we really doing this, right? So next half inning, same thing happens, but with his kid back. And he makes a turn. And I said, hey, did he? Oh, wait, nope, I'm not doing that crap. I'm not doing that to first and second graders. This guy turns around. He's like, you're running your players. I don't even pay that dude no attention, man. Like, it's the playoffs, dude. You're running your players too. I don't care.
Gotta love it.
You understand what this is about. But this dude's going off on just little rules like that, right? Like, it's one thing to yell out of the baseline and different stuff. But when the kid crosses first base and it's not like it was a pronounced turn. Like, he literally just turned around and walked in a straight line back. He may not have even gotten off the foul line. I mean, seriously. But what really got me about it wasn't that he said it as much as he kept going with it. Asking for it.
First and second graders. Come on now.
No, dude. Listen, rec baseball is not that important.
No.
And we should not be doing that out there. I stay positive. I stay encouraging with the kids. And our team had a great season. They improved so much. We went from not very good at all. We were not good at all. Also, these other teams came in with players that have played with them on travel ball teams and other things. They've known them. They've been around. This was my first year in that league over in Burt Burnett in the machine pitch. We played Wichita Falls last year, and I didn't like actual coach pitch. I just don't think you learn as much. So moving over there, I got leftovers, right? Which is, I know you guys have heard me say this multiple times, but that's all I care. Like, just give me whatever you have left over.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take them, and we're going to improve, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to learn. And by the end of the baseball season, we're going to be tough to beat. I'm not saying you're not going to beat us, but you're going to earn it.
Right.
And that's what we did. This team, in our last 5 games, we won one of them. We lost one 9-5 to the top seed, and the other 3 teams were against the number 2 and 3 teams in the league, and they beat us on walk-offs. 3 times we lost on a walk-off in the last couple weeks of the season. Can't do much about that in machine pitch, man. It's not like I have another pitcher to throw in there.
Another machine to bring out on the mound.
Yeah, it's just funny to me, man, how adults do kids sports like that.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy, man. But hey, we have a big show today. We got nominees for Athlete of the Year, and guess what, Ben? We're making this interactive. We're not choosing them. We're going to put a poll out here later on after the show. We're going to put a poll out on Twitter and on Facebook. We are going to let you, the listeners, vote on who should be the Athlete of the Year. So we're going to give you the candidates and give you some stats about them. But first, here's some words from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
Big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing for sponsoring this show. Man, it was, let's just start. I want to start this with kind of an overall synopsis of the sports year for Sam Houston. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't always the worst. Like, there were some bright spots this year.
Yeah, a little bit of everything on both ends of the spectrum. Football, great. Soccer had a really nice year. Softball had a nice year. Bowling did their thing as usual. I think they placed third at the conference tournament, made the NCAA tournament. Men's golf won a conference title and competed really well at the NCAA regionals. So you had some really good moments. There were also some really bad moments, but I mean, that's kind of what's to be expected at this level of play in Conference USA. So yeah, it was a little bit of everything.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, I think I forgot to say this, but at the third leg, it's Cory's top 5. A new thing. We're starting a new little bit because Cory loves his top 5s. We're going to do Cory's top 5 reasons why Jay Sirianni should be the head coach next year of the baseball program. That's right. Get all your hate in now. Let's go. Starting off, though, male. We're going to go with the men's athlete of the year nominees for the Cats, and we have 4 of them here, 4 for the men and 4 for the women. Like I said, we'll put this Twitter poll out there, and you, the listeners and viewers, get to vote on this one. Starting off with a representative from the football team. I mean, you don't do much without the QB. They were 10-3, and I'm putting team records in here because to some people that matters.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, because some people I think have better individual seasons than others, but their teams weren't as good.
Yes, and so the football team was 10-3, which is really good. Hunter Watson completed 62.3% of his passes. That's a really good number. He had 1,811 yards. 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Now, if I just look at his passing numbers, Ben, I'm going to be like, okay, that was good. But this dude added 647 yards rushing and had 9 more touchdowns. He had 21 total touchdowns this year from the quarterback. That's a pretty solid resume.
It is, yeah, and I think it goes beyond the numbers with Hunter. It's not even really about the numbers for me. It was you kind of finally found the guy that could lead this team to wins after an up and down 3 seasons between Jordan Yates and Keegan Shoemaker after the departure of Eric Schmid. So you finally found a guy to kind of give you stability at the quarterback position, and it led you to a 10-3 season. And I think another thing to factor in to these players is their impact on winning. When Hunter Watson was not in the game, you could tell this was a completely different team, and the offense was not the same. You lost to Western Kentucky in the second half without him. Barely scraped by FIU, and what I think was a 6-3 or 7-3 win on the road without him. So he made a huge impact on winning, kind of beyond the numbers.
You say numbers don't matter to you. You're wrong.
I think they play a part, but they're not all of it.
I have to disagree, man. I have to. Right? I have to be that contrarian over here. And that is a good resume. But is it better than Lamar Wilkerson? Now, the basketball team went 13-19 this year. A little bit of a unexpected downturn, I would say, for the program. But Lamar Wilkerson put up 20.5 points per game. He had 4 rebounds, shot 44% from 3, 47% from the field, and he was on the floor for 34.8 minutes per game.
Yeah.
Out of 40. Just to give you a reference. That's a lot of minutes logged. Well, with that number of minutes logged, his field goal percentage and stuff, that's impressive, especially considering how tired you have to be to log that many minutes. But should maybe his points per game been a little bit higher? Or is that just the fact that he got 20.5 because everybody was double teaming?
A little bit of both. Yeah, the minutes was impressive, especially in conference play. It was 38 a night. And when he really started to play those minutes, he was putting up 25-30. I know he scored 29 3 times, and then he scored 31, I think, in the regular season finale, something like that. So when he really started to dial it up to 38, 39 instead of 33, 34, he pushed it up. And I think this is probably the most impressive individual season. Obviously, the team result wasn't what you wanted, but it's hard to find a more impressive individual performance during a season this year on the men or women's side.
I think we know who Ben's voting for.
I don't know.
We're not giving it to you. We will discuss all of that next week. We'll go over the winners and we'll go over our thoughts on that and kind of how the voting went. All right, Hunter Watson, Lamar Wilkerson. How about Hugo Traumater? Is that
A name not everybody will know.
No. And by the way, he's a golfer for the Conference USA champions. You want team success? Here's some team success. He had a win in the individual. He had 2 top threes. He was the number 205 national rank, although he started the season at number 113. So he kind of dropped in his national rank a little bit. But no doubt, Hugo was the guy that led that golf team to another regional and a Conference USA championship.
Right, yeah, had the individual win, a couple other top 3 finishes, like you said. He was the first team all-conference selection for Sam Houston this year, so he had that also. He also won his match in the championship match against UTEP, so I think that's a big part of it too. You won 3-2 there, so he was probably your best player throughout the year for golf, which might have been the most impressive team with football this year at Sam Houston, so I think you have to put him on the list because he led this team to another regional.
Definitely most impressive on the men's side, golf and football, because after that it got pretty choppy. But we do have a candidate from baseball. And this tells you how good this player is. Now, if you say, okay, team results matter, how about somebody able to put up incredible results without much help around him from the rest of the team? And that's who we're talking about here with Hunter Autry, who was a second-team All-CUSA selection. And honestly, if the team wins probably 7 or 8 more games, he's probably a first-team.
Yeah.
Really, the team success kept him down from being a first-teamer. Hunter, yes, the baseball team finished 12-43. We're pretty well aware of that by now. Hunter had 325 average, 949 OPS, 9 homers, 12 doubles, a triple, 43 RBIs. He was successful on 14 of 18 attempts of steals. He had 6 errors in 311 chances, mostly at first base. 981 fielding percentage. That's pretty darn solid. And I also want to point this out. When I say there was no help around Hunter Autry, we're going to get into some baseball stuff here in a little bit, but Hunter Autry had a 949 OPS. Of the other players that played more than 41 games, only one other player had even a 750, above a 750, which is average. Everyone else was below average. He had no help, and yet he still put up incredible numbers.
He did, and I think we know about him on the hitting side, but on the fielding side too, he's a guy that had always played first base, and he primarily played there, but there were a lot of injuries in the outfield early on, and he just got thrown out in left field for a couple weeks. I think he had a couple starts at third as well, so that's why he got the utility man, second team all-conference selection. But yeah, just super impressive. If this was the Sam Houston baseball team 2 years ago or last year, he's probably the second best, third best hitter with these numbers, but those offenses were incredible, and these are still really impressive numbers that he put up. It's not easy to bat 320 with almost 1,000 OPS and almost 10 homers.
It's easier to do that when there's people on base ahead of you and you've got momentum rolling.
Well, and people don't want to pitch to him either. I'm sure they're a lot more selective with him.
Yeah, and why not? Because no one else is around him, ahead of him, or behind him. You didn't have any other threat. He is the lone threat in the lineup, and he still put up a 949 OPS. That's just really, really impressive. And also, getting put out in left field, people go, oh, it's left. No, guys, that is not easy to just go play outfield.
Especially after playing first base especially after playing first base pretty much your whole career.
Yeah. That ball comes off the bat, and it is not easy to remember your first step should be backward. Trust me.
And a 981 field percentage is good.
Oh, no, that's excellent. 970 is usually kind of what I put around to measure people by. So 981, that's a really, really good one there. Man, that's 4 pretty solid candidates right there on the men's side.
Yeah, I have a write-in candidate.
Uh-oh.
I know we talked about it off air. I had him in there originally, but we decided to go a a little more diverse with the different
does
sports.
the write-in candidate, is he going to get included in the poll? Because I'm not sure.
No, I think you can only fit 4, but we could say that people can write something in. I think you have to,
Comment with it, right?
yeah, I think you have to include Caleb Weaver and at least give him his flowers. I think he was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. I thought he was going to win it. Led Sam Houston in tackles, was top in pass deflections, just did everything at the safety position for us this year. That's why he's going to Duke, and I think ESPN for the 2025 season had him as one of the top 50 safeties in the country going into next year. So Caleb Weaver had a phenomenal year on the defensive side, and I know he's not the biggest name. He's not a name like Hunter Watson, but he made a big impact on winning as well.
No, he was outstanding, and he was a big reason why the Cats had the success they had on the other side of the ball. We have quality candidates. And by the way, you want to write them in, that you're going to do it by commenting or commenting. That's really the only thing you can do. Reply if it's on, what is it? Reply on Twitter.
Yeah, comment on Facebook.
Facebook, is that how it goes?
I think so.
I've really tried to stay off a lot of those things these days. Anyway, we're going to be back in just a moment with Women's Athlete of the Year nominees. But first, got to let you know we're a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and the CUSA Podcast Roundtable, which features podcasts from all 12 CUSA schools. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and follow on the various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at March to the Pod. It's one word, March the number 2, the Pod. We'll be right back with our Women's Athlete of the Year nominees right after another word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Big thank you to Taylor Anderson Company over at Eternal Roofing. They do a fantastic job. Give them a call if you need anything roofing or general contracting services. Reminder that after we go through these Women's Athlete of the Year nominees, we've got a Cory's Top 5, first ever, first annual, whatever you want to call it, because there's probably going to be a few more of these as somebody says, hey, what's the top 5 reasons for whatever could make people angry? I'm your guy right here. I got the top 5 reasons to keep Jay Sirianni for another season. And number 1 is a burner, I'm telling you. It's a burner.
Is that supposed to be a pun or something?
No, number one is going to get people. Anyway, on to the Women's Athlete of the Year nominees. And we had a long discussion about this off air about whether we needed to have 2 players from the same sport or not, because sometimes, you talk about splitting votes and different things. But when it comes to the women's side, I mean, the soccer had a good year. The basketball wasn't horrible. The softball had a really good year. And bowling did what bowling does. But we still ended up with 2 candidates off of one sport, and that sport was softball. And we'll start with the top candidate here, or not the top candidate, but candidate number 1, because we're not voting. Bella Perez. Softball team was 28-29 overall, but I don't think that 28-29 record really gives kind of the progress made on the softball team this year, which you could speak to that in just a moment. But Bella had a 288 average. Mind you, she's the catcher, right?
Yes.
Okay. 288 average, 931 OPS, 8 doubles, 13 homers, 35 RBIs, only 2 errors on 245 chances. Remember when we talked about that field percentage a minute ago? How about a 992 for Bella Perez? That is about as impressive as it gets from one of the most exhausting and physically demanding positions to play on a baseball field.
Right. Yeah, I think she was at 1,000 for about 2/3 of the season, which was just incredible to see.
That's
But
like perfect, by the way.
it, as far as I know, it is. But yeah, just a really impressive season behind the plate, and the pitching staff was incredible this year. I know at the college level, the catcher typically doesn't call the pitches, but they play some sort of factor in working with the pitchers. So you have to factor that in as well. And then I think the big one is you tied the school record for 13 homers, or with 13 homers. So that was really impressive, and only a sophomore. There's a lot of potential there moving forward. It was a really incredible
talk about
season.
a catcher, even at softball, framing is a really big thing these days.
Yeah.
Framing those pitches is how you help more than calling pitches, right? Like what pitch is called isn't necessarily that big, but framing them, getting them close enough and then framing it, that's where a catcher can really help you. That is really impressive numbers put up by a sophomore. That just is. But
Yeah.
there's somebody else on that team, and it was a pitcher, Abigail Young. And we saw what happened when she got injured in the Conference USA tournament. She tried. She tried her hardest. She had 26 appearances, 17 starts. She finished an 8-7 win-loss record, which, by the way, I don't put a win-loss record on a pitcher very often. I don't think that's something that there's a lot that goes into a win. She had 2 saves, a 1.90 ERA, a 1.25 whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, gave up 30 earned runs, 36 walks, 59 strikeouts. Opponents hit 253 against her, and she did all of this in 110 in the third innings. By far the most effective pitcher on that staff this year.
And some of those numbers are inflated because she only got 1 out and gave up 4 runs while hurt against Jack State. So, I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference, but they should be a little lower than they were. And I went back and looked, and I think they won 8 of her last 10 starts in Conference USA. I mean, there were a couple relief appearances where she came in, where I didn't factor those in, and they lost a couple of those, and that's where she got the most of her losses. What it looked like was in relief, but when she was starting, it felt like they were going to win every single time down the stretch. And I don't know if there's a player with better stats and a bigger impact on winning than what she had, especially the second half of the season.
Let me see if we can find one over here. Let's go to soccer, and let's go to a team that finished 8-7-3, which was a good season for the soccer team.
Above 500.
Landry Townsend. She was outstanding. And remember how we talked about Hunter Autry and how it was kind of like by himself on the offense?
Yeah.
When it comes to scoring goals, I know she's a striker. She's your forward. She's up there to do this. But she had 6 goals, 5 assists, 17 points on the team. The next closest on the team in points to her had 8. 8. That is about as impressive a stat as you can find for Landry Townsend.
Yeah, and I mean, not that we're going to count career into it, but she finished top 5 in scoring, assist, and shots on goal in her career at Sam Houston, which was just super impressive. And yeah, winning record in conference play, winning record overall on the points percentage. And so it was just really good. And you also beat Houston, which I think was your second Power 4 opponent win in school history. And she had 2 goals that night. So just really stepped up when needed and had a really incredible senior year.
She did. She put highlights up all year long. And our 4th nominee got to come from bowling, right? The best sport in the program, in the department right now. And Denise Blame-Kinsey. Did I say that right?
Blake-Kinsey, yeah.
Blake-Kinsey. Okay. First team All-American. She finished 3rd at the Prairie View Invite. She had 3rd individually at the Prairie View Invite. She had another top 10. 4 times she was top 25. And this one right here might be her most impressive stat. She won the Fort Worth Regional in the 2025 Intercollegiate Singles Championships that she had to even qualify to get there. So that Denise Blake-Kinsey had a tremendous season for the bowling team.
Back-to-back years as an All-American as well. Was an All-American last year, All-American this year. Just the model of consistency. Had a great career during her time here as a senior. So just kind of the captain of another really good bowling team, had another incredible year. And when you talk about the best players on the best teams at Sam Houston, you have to have her in the conversation.
No doubt about it. So there's our women's candidates. We got 4. Is there a write-in candidate here?
I think Jenny Robeson, I know we're going back to
Softball again, but boy,
softball.
Jenny Robeson deserves some mention.
I think she had, 7 homers, hit 380. Didn't quite have the pop that Bella Perez did, but, I mean, got on base and was incredible at doing that.
Yeah, no, she was. And I mean, 3 softball really shows how good a season they had right there.
Right. Yeah, and the 500 record doesn't necessarily show, but you had some great out-of-conference wins. You had a winning conference record in a legitimate conference, and you were one swing away from possibly taking a series at Liberty. You were down 2 with the bases loaded in the 7th inning in a rubber match. So, I mean, when this team was on, they could compete with anyone in the country, really.
Definitely. So the 4 are Bella Perez, Abigail Young, Landry Townsend, and Denise Blinkensee. Now, when we come back, after we hear from our friends again over at Eternal Roofing, and Ben tells us about how you can get involved in supporting the Cats, I've got a top 5 reasons why they should keep. This is going to make everyone happy. Keep Jay Sirianni.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Well, Ben, I see people all the time. NIL, listen, it's a fact of life. And if you want to win today, you're going to have to be able to help get the athletes some money. Granted, look, Group of 5, Sam Houston's not going to be like it is at Texas or Texas Tech or anything like that. But the Cat Fund is a great way for you to get involved, to help support, and you can do it for as little as $10 a month. Ben's going to tell us more.
Yeah, as little as $10 a month, you can sign up and support athletes at Sam Houston. You can go to cat-fund.com to sign up, and with the membership, you get a lot of really cool things, Cat Fund merch and exclusive info, discounted access to events will be announced. I know we had our Save the Date go out for our golf event. That's going to be on people's radar here soon, so discounted access to those kind of things. So definitely want to sign up, become a member today, support these athletes. It takes everybody, and we definitely need your support.
No doubt. Cat-fund.com, as low as $10 a month. Okay. So baseball just got done. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Can't sugarcoat it, Ben. It was not good. They finished 12-43. They won 6 games in conference, 6 games out of conference. Yet some fool is sitting here coming up with the top 5 reasons to keep Jay Sirianni, and that fool is named Cory Hope. You ready for this? We're going to discuss.
Yeah, I haven't even heard these.
Yeah, number 5. The 5th reason to keep Jay Sirianni. It was a rebuilding year. It was the whole year. I heard from the beginning, this is a rebuilding year. Sometimes rebuilding years tend to go south. Isn't that kind of expected in this case?
I think so. I think people's idea of rebuilding, though, would have been a 20 to 25 win season, 500, slightly below 500. But it really was a true rebuilding year in every sense of the word.
It became one.
Yeah.
It really did, in a way none of us wanted it to become, but it did. But on that point, only 2 seniors on the roster. Now, we know there's going to be some turnover. We're seeing a lot of signees coming in, a lot of pitchers, hopefully, because the pitching staff was really, really bad.
Yeah, lots of pitchers.
And we're going to get into that. Need a lot of pitchers. Pitching was an ERA over 8, like for the staff. The best pitchers were over 6. It just was not good pitching wise. It wasn't good hitting.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of youth. And sometimes you got to work through those and gain those experiences. And we know that they're signing some more players coming in with 2 seniors on the roster. Doesn't that provide some hope and maybe a little momentum heading into next year?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who is retained and who is not coming back, whether it be through the portal or a cut. So, yeah, right now you've got 13 commitments or signees coming in for next year. You've only got 2 players departing as of now, Hunter Autry, and then Brady Christensen had another year of eligibility, but he's going to use that eligibility somewhere else. He announced he's going to the portal. So that means at least 11 players off the current roster won't be back next year. Going to flip it over, and I'm sure it's going to be even more. Everybody that you've signed or had committed so far is a JUCO guy or a high school signee. So once everybody's seasons end, this week or next week, you'll have 95% of the teams out of it. I think you might start to see some Division I commits, but yeah, a lot of roster turnover going to next year.
Yeah, and listen, I know. That was number 4. There's only 2 seniors on the roster. They can build for next year. A lot of experience coming back. But number 3 kind of goes to the standard of the baseball program and what it's been. Right? You're used to 60% winning seasons. That's been that was the standard. It was set by David Pierce. It was set by Matt Deggs. They finished with career winning percentages above 60%. Right now,
Sirianni's was right around 60% coming into this year.
It was. Now he's 153, 149. He's barely above 500. But it's one bad year. Like Sirianni has not, he led this team through it. But here's the thing, and here's my number 3 point on this. Number 3 reason to keep Jay Sirianni. He's not in the Southland Conference anymore. Guys,
yeah.
This step up is more significant than we realized for the baseball program. I really, truly believe that. It is a tougher conference. Conference USA is good. It is a good conference. It's got a few really good teams that can compete at regional tournaments. It's not the Southland anymore. It just isn't. You're not going to beat up on those teams. Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, you just took a stray. You're not going to get to go play them and sweep them and do that kind of stuff. So that conference competition, this change up to Conference USA, I think we really saw the effect of that on the program this year.
Yeah, and last year I think is about where this team would have been, where they typically are competitively. I think they were 4th and they went 31-25. I think your good years, you're probably 1st, 2nd, 3rd in this kind of league. But Conference USA is the 5th-ranked baseball league in the country. I mean, we talk about the step up to Conference USA all the time. I think it's the biggest step up in baseball. And obviously you don't want to finish last. It's still somewhere where you want to finish in the top 4, and I think you should. But I think it's a bigger step up in competition than a lot of people expected, maybe even the coaching staff. And, I mean, it's going to take some time to adjust.
Tells you how good the roster was last year. They were 34-24, 13-11 in conference, 23-7 at home. That's going to be tough to replicate when you're rebuilding in Conference USA.
Yeah, and even that to a lot of people felt like an average year.
Which is not, by the way. That's not an average year. But I also, man, you only get one rebuilding year. That has to be said. Right? Like number 5, rebuilding, 2 seniors. My first 3, my number 5, my number 4, my number 3, that only goes for one time. Right? No excuses after that. You now know what it's like. You've been in conference 2 years. You know the talent you need. You better go find it. You need to be better. You only get 1 year reprieve on the rebuilding thing. Okay?
Yep.
Number 2, though, and number 1. Number 2, there's been no facility maintenance. Like they still have a turf from 1962. Right? Like the logo is 5 logos ago. How do you recruit how, if you're Jay Sirianni, are you expected to recruit to a place that doesn't even have the right logo on the baseball field?
I think there's two things to that. I think baseball compared to a lot of other facilities on campus is still ahead of other places or other sports, but it is not a good look when the baseball turf, like you said, is multiple logos behind. The locker room is still multiple logos behind. And I feel like the turf might be the most important part. I mean, it's a big part of the brand and the way the team looks. And thankfully, they're getting a new turf this summer, and there's supposed to be some upgrades that they have to make before 2027 because you're hosting the conference tournament. I think you've got to make some upgrades for TV. You've got to get the turf in, maybe some additional seating that you might be able to put in temporarily. But I think the facilities are fine compared to other sports on campus. But if you want to compete at the level that you had been, you've got to keep the facilities up to par.
Okay, I am not comparing facilities to other sports on campus. I'm comparing it to other Conference USA schools. How does the facilities for this baseball program compare to the one? If you want to be Liberty and you want to be Dallas Baptist, you got to have facilities like them. Where are we at on that?
Middle, slightly below middle. I mean, Dallas Baptist is better, Liberty is better, WKU is better, Louisiana Tech's better. I could think of those four off the bat. So you might be fifth. I think you're better than Middle Tennessee. You're better than FIU, better than New Mexico State. I think you're a little better than Kennesaw. So you're probably right in the middle of the pack.
Okay, that takes money. By the way, in case you don't know, Sam Houston doesn't have money.
Not a lot of it.
Not a lot. Which is why number one reason, this is the one. Oh, wait, we got comments before we get to number one reason. We cannot just. Texas Cantina watching on YouTube says a lot of big teams struggled this year in overall record. Seems like good pitching is harder to find. We're not the only Texas team to struggle. No. They better fix the dugouts too. New decals.
The logos there, yeah.
The dugouts, the decals, that's all got to go. But I would like for a minute, because I like to get shots in on Aggies whenever I can. I'd like to go back to a minute to what Texas Cantina said about good pitching is harder to find. Not the only Texas team to struggle. You are right. There is one Texas team that barely made their conference tournament. They were preseason number one nationally. And then their softball program just got to see USA. They became the first. And congratulations to Liberty, by the way. Let's give Liberty a round of applause for this year, right? Like I think they deserve that. Don't have it ready, but we can give them one. There we go. Cheers for Liberty. That was an impressive series, an impressive couple of games to play there. It was fun to watch. But Texas A&M now is the first number one overall national seed in softball since they began this in 2005 to not make the Super Regionals, and that makes my Longhorn fan heart happy. Texas Cantina had some, yes, Rice, Tech come to mind. Yeah, you want to talk. I hate to say this. I feel like Rice is kind of where Sam Houston is. Like maybe starting to go, have we outgrown ourselves? Did we try to go too far too fast?
Well, I think Rice is ahead of us in the decline of their program, but that's kind of a telltale story of a program that, I mean, we weren't winning national championships, but you made a super regional and we're making the tournament every year. And now you see what Rice was. So, I mean, you just got to be cautious. And like you said, you get 1 year. You can't let this trend continue.
I love how you say they were in the College World Series back in the 90s. I know I'm old and I know I was there, but they were in the College World Series back with Lance Berkman. Like Rice has been good for a while. Rice was known as good for a while, and they really fell off here
5 to 7 years.
About 5 to 7 years ago.
Yeah.
They hired the Tennessee Tech guy? Was that the one they hired?
Well, they just hired Pierce to come back.
They just hired Pierce, but the one before that, I think.
It was Jose Cruz before that.
Okay, Cruz. Oh no, Cruz was the former Astro. Wow, that was that was the coach before that one even. So yes, they started going downhill. Texas Tech, I can't put them in the same. I know they struggled this year, but when your billionaire donor is now the head of your entire system, and that's Cody Campbell, and Tadlock, I don't know that Tadlock's going to get a year. Let me just say that. Like Tech, the expectations, the money in it's higher. The athletes get paid a heck of a lot more. And so I just put them in a different tier. That struggle I don't think will last long, just because it's just kind of like how it is there right now, right? Like they're spending the money. Tech is going to be a problem here for some of these P4 schools.
Yeah, especially in football this year, it looks like.
Dell, I tell you, Mike Craven tends to think so. He's pretty high on him. And I just want to say, from an outside observer who knows nothing about anything to do with FBS outside of Sam Houston, Joey needs to have a really good year.
Yes.
In my opinion. Tech doesn't have patience. That's not something they own a lot of.
Own a lot of money, not patience.
They own a lot of money, not patience. Which now we're down to our number one reason why Jay Sirianni will stay for one more year at least. Sam Houston can't afford to buy out. You can't. You can't afford a buyout. It goes right back to number two with the facility. You just don't have that money base right now. And by the way, it would help if some of you in the administration would stop, irritating the donors and the ones that have the money and love to give and making them stop. That would be fantastic if you hear this.
Yeah, I agree.
Just saying.
Won't get into it too much.
You don't have the money. They don't have the money, Ben. That's simply how it is.
Well, here's the thing with money. I do agree that you don't have the money for a buyout, but you do have a significant chunk of money that came in right before this season in the quasi-endowment fund for $520,000 just for the baseball program. And so that, on top of what we have in NIL for this summer and off season, I think you have a chance to compete, but I think you need to use that money on players and facilities and not buying out a coach, in my opinion. At least for right now. If this was year two of this result, then I might think differently. But I think you've got to use the money you have to upgrade the facilities and be able to help fund revenue sharing, additional scholarships, and NIL.
Yeah. At this point, you're at a let the contract run out stage with him. And I think it only has one more year.
Well, yeah, right.
So, hey, look, he's had one down year. You get a year to turn it around. Obviously, earlier this year, we had talked about our expectations and stuff. Baseball didn't meet the expectations. We would have a conversation, and we would talk about how we're going to get right. But if I'm Sirianni, I'm also, when we have that conversation, I'm sitting down and I'm looking at Bobby and saying, you got to support us more, which is exactly what every coach, every coach of every program needs to say to Bobby, and they're not wrong.
No, they're not.
They are not wrong.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what baseball looks like next year, because you were so young, and there were some young pieces that, were they performing to the kind of level you would want a star player to? No, but they're a true freshman starting every single day, whether it be pitching or hitting or in the field, whatever it might be. Those kind of guys in a year or two could really pop. So you hold on to some of those guys. You add through the portal. You've added some pretty good pieces through the portal. Probably not enough right now, but yeah, I'm interested to see kind of what they can do with the money they have this offseason.
Ryan Peterson had a 6.29 ERA, 14 starts. He threw 73 innings. He is a sophomore. Those aren't for a sophomore.
Yeah.
It's not horrible, but that's also should not be your number one starter either.
Yeah.
I think roster construction on this, to get to a year where you have such a rebuilding year, is bad roster construction.
That's what it came down to this year. It just caught up to you. You graduated so many guys the previous 2 years, and you just had to bring in a huge freshman class and a young transfer class. And like you said, Ryan Peterson, a sophomore, Noah Kendrick, a freshman, Addison Smith, a sophomore, Jace Martinez, a sophomore, Sam Lee, a freshman, Parker Blackman, a freshman. And you were also missing Ryan Frandon's a sophomore. You were missing Caleb Cotton, who was probably your most experienced player, who was going to be a junior. He missed the whole year, so you add him back. So, I mean, there's some reason for hope, but you still got to have a great offseason, and you've got to hit, especially on the pitching side, on probably 5 to 7 arms.
I don't know if the number's quite that high, because I think Noah Kendrick, he's also another sophomore. I think he could be he Felix Schled, I'm a little concerned. He is a junior coming back another year, but I also want to look at defensively here, a fielding percentage of .959.
Yeah, it's rough.
Whereas the opponents, by the way, fielded .974. The opponents were really good for a team fielding percentage against you. So you didn't put the pressure on them and make them make a mistake. They didn't feel pressure to make a mistake. And you had a hard time fielding the darn ball, .959.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It made it even worse that it was a young team, a bunch of young guys playing college baseball for the first time. Also didn't help that you missed Ryan Frandon for 6 weeks. You missed Addison Smith for the last 2 months. You missed Caleb Cotton the entire year. 3 of your biggest pieces there in the lineup. So, and in the field.
Martinez is a sophomore, right? And he's a good hitter. He had 9, right? He can play.
He took a step back in the field, though, this year, it felt like.
He took a big step back. 15 errors. That's a lot. .923 fielding percentage. Going to have to find somewhere where he could play.
Yeah. Oh, he was good there as a freshman, too, which I think he was like .965 as a true freshman at shortstop.
Dude, shortstop at college, that's a hard position.
Yeah.
It takes so much work. Maybe we look at putting him into a third or a second base next year. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Addison Smith.
But you still need a shortstop.
Yeah, well, you do bring in Hunter Alvord from Barton Community College up in Kansas. He hit .360 with 17 homers, 55 RBIs, and 29 stolen bases this last year. I didn't look at the fielding percentage, but he played shortstop for them and absolutely crushed. So you've got an option there. I don't think you move Addison Smith off of second base. He transferred in from Oklahoma State and just really found a groove those couple of weeks before he got hurt. Ryan Frandon, you could probably play at first, but like you said, there could be an opening at third. I think that might be where he might get slotted, him or Blake Brown.
Yeah, and look, when you're a shortstop, and again, when you come to putting up a baseball team, you look at any level, you do the same things no matter where you are. You're trying to put your best players, catcher, pitcher, short, second, center field. Right? That's your conglomerate of your overall best athlete, basically.
Yeah.
That's where you're at, especially center field, shortstop, second. Those are your best athletes. Catcher is very important to have a good, solid catcher back there. So when you've got someone who can play a shortstop or a second or a center, you can play a lot of different positions. You can move anywhere and learn because we're in the offseason. Right, if you're going to make a change, it's time to do it now. We're not going to Rafael Devers this stuff, okay? We're not doing all that. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to make the change now. We're going to communicate it clearly and say, Jace, this is where we want you to play next year. This is where you've got to work.
Yeah, and it also didn't help that your center fielder was out for the year, your second baseman missed 2 months, and your shortstop didn't perform the way he did last year, and that leads to a fielding percentage in the 950s.
And none of those were a reason as to why Jay Sirianni should stay. Well, Ben, this was a fun one. We will be back next week. We will come back with presenting and talking more about the Athlete of the Year. We will have the men's and the women's Athlete of the Year next week. It's your voting. Go find it. It'll be up here within... let's see. Today is Wednesday. We're recording this around 5 o'clock. So by the time you're listening to this, there should be a poll out on the Twitter and the Facebook with this for you to vote on these things. Get your votes in. Let your voice be heard. Share it, like it, get it out there. Let's see who you think are the players of the week. Also, thank you so much for listening. We're not here doing any of this without you. Thank you to Ben. You're the knowledge of the show. I come up with 5 reasons. You correct me as to why I'm wrong. And that everyone appreciates that as well. For this week, we are done. Until next weekend, we need a good off season. Ben, we need a good off season here. Take us out with something that's going to help us get a little bit of a pep in our step as we start to try to make the Cats better for 25-26.
Yeah, eat 'em up, Cats. Go vote in our poll. Go buy football season tickets and sign up for Cat Fund.
No joke. Go vote.